everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back to talk more Doom Patrol. We're on Season 1, Episode 12. We've only got 3 episodes left after this. This one's called Cyborg Patrol, and this one's pretty dope. I dig this one quite a bit, because we get the ant farm. We get the attack on the ant farm. We get to see the team, working together to what could possibly be the future of the series when everybody is on board and not fighting and not arguing. This is what I wanted. This is what I had hopes for, what the Doom Patrol would look like, and now we're starting to see it happen. There are a few setbacks here. Of course, when you throw in Mr. Nobody, played by Alan Tudyk, things aren't going to go exactly to plan, and manipulations are still at play here. But all in all, I gotta say, this is definitely one of my favorite episodes. I love this a lot. And like I said, this also shows that they can have some of these characters in here where when they curse right, it curse at the proper times. It is not just part of the language, where it's just every other word. So this episode to me is a home run across the board. This is the standard. This should be considered the high watermark of what this show can do. Now, they've done some pretty interesting things early in the series. I thought the first 3 or so episodes were really fantastic. But this is the level. This is where I want to see this show at all the time. Now, I realize that, not every episode can be a home run. But this is where you want to be at. This is where the level that you want to reach every single time. And if anybody sees this from the show ever, that's what I would want for anybody to take away from this. The writing is good, the acting is good, the pacing is good, the imagination is here, the ideas are here. This is like a really good comic. I could just feel this being a great comic. Like a nice 2 or 3 issue arc. Fantastic stuff. Let's get into it. So, Darren Jones, this guy from the ant farm, getting a mouthful from the Bureau, talking about, and this is a really weird scene, because this general that's there eating a Big Mac seems completely, he's goofed. He is goofed up. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but he's talking about what does he say? We mustn't upset the butts. Now, I didn't know what that meant at all, and I still don't really understand in context what that means to what this guy is saying to him at this meeting, why we mustn't upset the butts is important. But later we understand, it's just like they threw that in there so that later on there'd be a callback, but there was no purpose unless this guy's just gone, whatever. But they have Cyborg. They call it a big risk, and it is a big risk. I mean, he's not a member of the Justice League, but he is a full-on superhero. He's a known quantity. People would miss him. But since he's kind of drifted off that path and been hanging out with the Doom Patrol, he's kind of already missing already. And it doesn't seem like anybody was coming for him, and the only person out there besides the Doom Patrol that cares about him is his dad. Or does he? That's the big question in this episode. But these guys, they don't seem impressed, because what they really wanted was the grid. Okay, so Victor is just the body holding the science to them. And so they're not impressed. And then, we get Larry and his rundown of the ant farm. So we get all the exposition for the rest of the characters so that they understand what the ant farm is. And, he calls it Area 51 meets Dante's Inferno. I also like the line, why doesn't Cyborg just send Batman a text? I like that a lot. And like I said, in this scene, when they're talking about what to do about Victor, it's calm. You've got Jane and Robot and Rita and Larry, and it's mostly a calm conversation. These characters are working well together. There's a couple of swear words in here, but they work. They work because it's appropriate. So, Vic, they talk about how Vic was afraid that he was becoming more machine. and they fight over the fact that they don't want Silas involved. Victor wouldn't want Silas involved, but knock, knock, knock. Who's at the door? It's Silas, and I'm trying to think about, like, his dad has been, I think that Vic's guilt over his mother plays into a lot of, like, his mistrust of his dad. His dad being overprotective, him being a young man, trying to find his way, doesn't want, his dad looking over his shoulder, and he wants to do things on his own. And he doesn't trust his dad with some of the tech that he put into him because things aren't working right. And he puts that on his dad, which he should, but I feel like they've just got a real complicated history that the Doom Patrol doesn't really understand, and they've only had one side of the story. Cliff calls him a douche nozzle, but Cliff's not the best person to come to when it comes to parenting or just being a good person in general. So to me, it's like the safety of his son should come first. Call the dad. He's at least a scientist who understands what's happening to Vic. Worry about the consequences later. And Larry spills the beans, and they come up with this plan. Meanwhile, Vic wakes up, and the nanites are basically, responsible. He's realizing that the nanites are responsible, and his father wasn't aware of the risks, but he should have. He's seeing all these things in his head, these things that seem like program memories, that are leading him even further towards not trusting his father. And so we get this plan. It's I'm not going to call it Ocean's 11, but it's a Doom Patrol break-in, and I love this because this is another thing that was great about this episode, is it fooled me. It fooled me because I've been so used to seeing things just pretty straightforward and play out as I expect them to. There hasn't been a lot of twists and turns. Everything's been pretty straightforward. So this is where it messes with me, and I got a good solid fucking episode here. Because the Bureau then, they talk about how they got nothing from Vic. Without the grid, there's nothing there. He's just a paperweight. So what happens next actually really makes sense. When it all happens, because they all go to break into the Bureau. One question I also had here was, will Larry and the negative spirit ever be able to be in the body at the same time, working together, instead of Larry having to pass out and give control and have it released? I would like to be able to see Larry's body and the negative spirit, like, being able to work inside his body. His body's radioactive. It should be able to, I don't know what the rules are there, but I just think it's kind of a waste that he just flops over. It's funny, but it's a gag that's going to get old quick. If not already. The rough elevator ride, I was wondering what that was about, but it's probably because they hacked in. And right away, I heard Rita. Alright, I heard her, but I didn't see her. And that was the thing that I forgot about. I was like, wait, because I had the subtitles on. Because a lot of times I miss names in places. It said Rita made this noise. I was like, wait, Rita's not there. And so but then as the episode went on, I forgot that she was there, but we just couldn't see her. We get a look at these weird things called the operators, which are really bizarre. But right away, I was like, Silas just gives them up. Silas gives them up right away. They capture Larry's negative spirit. They shock Robot into, like, he can't move. Jane gets taken down. It's just all over really quick. And it makes sense. Vic, well, I mean, it's not nice, but it makes sense. That Vic proving, kind of going towards that side, that Silas is bad. That actually Vic's, videos that he's being seen and the mistrust is accurate. He just gave them up. Now, he did give them up for his son. So, but, I thought, oh, man, you shithead. He talks them into doing this and then just completely gives them up. And I have to admit, I did not see that coming. But it did play into how I feel about Silas, or at least how they want us to feel about Silas. Because they go through this whole thing. This guy wants to torture Jane. And it's this hilarious kind of Reservoir Dogs meets Ace of Base. Like, it's like Maybe they couldn't get the rights to Stuck in the Middle with You. Maybe Ace of Base is... I think Ace of Base might be under Warner Brothers label, so you can get that music. They got Larry separated from his other robots attached to the ceiling, taking shit from these people. And the whole time I keep thinking, I hope these people all die brutally. These are people that are just... They don't feel like they have feelings, but I mean, they don't care about people. They don't care that they don't see these things as people or creatures or any kind of sympathy. They're just trying to get the technology and advance, weaponry and things like that. So I'm like, anything can happen to these people. I don't care. But then we find out, that we go back. I love this. There was no, all of us, any kind of hint that this was going to happen. We just suddenly go backwards and realize that, earlier that day, the real plan was to get captured on purpose. And I thought, that's it. That's brilliant. That was brilliant. Because I honestly didn't know this show had it in it. And I got to give it a golf clap. So they're just biding time. Vic and Silas are in their room having their fight, which is not part of the plan. And Darren Jones is there to rub it in their face. No take backsies. Basically saying that Victor's dad might just leave him there in this state. Because Silas, I guess, he worked with these guys. And he even says, you guys are not what you used to be. And Vic even sees deceit detected. So it even makes you go, okay, so he's there, but he's still running a con. But he seems so sincere. And now we know the plan was to break them, in and then fake it and then get out. So where's the deceit? It doesn't add up. Something's wrong with Vic's programming. And even when but then it shows that Vic's dad knew. And I'm like, I got really upset for a second. I was like, oh man, Silas, he didn't care. And the show fooled me again. And it may be a little cheap. That might be a little cheap shot there because of where it all comes from. Just a line thrown out. But they all get out. Robot, Rita was inside Robot. It was really awesome and disgusting. This big blob comes out. Rita not wanting Robot to look at her as she pulls the lever down and the magnet turns off and Robot squishes the girl. Come on. So this show has never shied away from violence, so why couldn't I see her go splat? Jane gets out by the guy turning on the wrong song, and Karen comes out. And Karen comes out and talks the guy into letting her go. And then Hammerhead comes out, knocks him out. They get Larry, and Vic, meanwhile, freaks out after seeing his dad say that he knew about the nanites possibly taking over, and he beats him to death. Or at least, right now, it appears that Vic has beaten his dad to death. And this is when the face comes up like a video game saying, "You did it!" And it's Mr. Nobody was manipulating this the whole time, putting these memories in that weren't real, and that Victor's dad did care, and Vic killed him. And he only did it because he told Vic and the rest of the Doom Patrol to stop looking for him. And this was the penalty. And that's fucked up, but awesome. And I can't say that this episode really hit it. It really did. I really dig it, and I hope the last 3 episodes are as good as this. So, keep it going, Doom Patrol. You're really making me want to come back for a second season now. So, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. So, yeah, great episode, guys. Can't wait to talk about episode 13 next week. So that's right, we only got 3 episodes left. So this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying, have a great day. Man, Mr. Nobody's a prick. Bye.